What is going on, everybody? It is episode 846 of Pop Culture Crisis. I'm checking everything.
Everything's okay.
Everything's okay. Looks like we've got the first day in a while where things just didn't fall apart right when we started. My name is Brett, and I am here with my co-host. Introduce yourself, please.
Hello, crisis actors. It's Mary. Everything is not falling apart on this Friday.
Not
Happy
quite
Friday,
yet.
by the way.
Yes, and to you as well.
Yes.
Big plans this weekend?
I'm traveling.
Oh.
So we should get that out there right from the get-go.
Yes.
I'm going to be gone Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday next week, but we will have
Aiden in studio.
Aiden Mattis coming back to the studio.
He'll be here, I believe, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Phil will be involved in at least one of those shows as well. So it's going to be a lot of fun. Maybe we'll change it. Maybe it'll just be all political topics the whole time. I'll just that and conspiracy theories about like Bigfoot.
Can you do like a conspiracy theory about the music industry and how they record things backwards to say satanic messages?
He would love that. I bet you he's got strong
That's what
feelings.
I would do if I were doing a show with Aiden on Monday. I would want to talk about that. And also people have this theory that they switched all pop music to 440 hertz instead of 432 to cause agitation in the body.
That makes well, then why did we get like that time period in like the early 2010s where the BPM was just plodding and slow for everything?
Was that 120?
I
thought
know.
people were saying like all the pop songs in the 2010s were 120 beats per minute because of Benny Blanco.
I mean, I
and
remember
his claim that he didn't know how to change the tempo.
I remember a Dose of Buckley doing a video about like how every song in that time period had to have annoying like BPM switches halfway through the song. Getting in the weeds before we even get started, guys. So before we get started, hit the like button on this video and subscribe to the channel if you are new here and you have not subscribed here yet already, both on YouTube and on Rumble. You should subscribe on both, and you should share the content out with your friends, your family, your loved ones, everybody in your life that you know. If you have like a mortal enemy or somebody that you really dislike, you should share it with them as well, because chances are if you love our stuff, they're gonna hate it, and then you can argue about it online, which will increase our engagement. It is the best way to help us. So go ahead and do that. So what are we getting into today? We got a lot to talk about. Number one, of course, being that, well, it wasn't Variety per se, but Harper's Bazaar, and then Variety did their own journalism version of this with Jenna Ortega whining and complaining because celebrities in Hollywood, they have a gratitude problem. 20?
We have a 20 from Weary Traveler. I know Brett is a Chad because he watches A Dose of Buckley.
Well, I haven't in a long time. I used to love the, he used to do what were called musical autopsies, where he'd like pick apart and make fun of a song and the music video, and it was great. It was great early YouTube content. I haven't listened in a long time. I still will check out the top 10 worst songs of the year list, though I think I might have missed the last year or two. But he had some great videos. I think he's still making content. I think he kind of switched his style up, and he does kind of like more quasi-internet content as well. But he was great. So we're going to talk about Jenna Ortega. Again, celebrities in general have an entitlement problem, at least in my estimation, in a lot of ways. And they get trapped in these interviews that are perfectly reasonable and phrased in a perfectly normal way. But because journalists hate them, secretly hate them, they're their frenemies, they make them look horrible. So we're going to get into it. Every single interview is some type of minefield they have to navigate. So we're going to talk about that. We're also going to talk about YouTube star Eugenia Cooney, who basically like nearly died live on stream, and it's terrifying.
Well, technically every time Eugenia Cooney streams, she is nearly dying, but she's been nearly dying for years at this point because of an apparent eating disorder. And even the people who regularly watch her still are thinking it is that time for her. It's
one of those things where whenever we cover it, it ends up being something where some people get mad because they don't think that you should cover it because they think that you're giving attention to something that shouldn't be kind of having a light shined on it. But then the point is like, then you can't have a discussion about it at all. If you don't know, she is very skinny. She's very clearly got an eating disorder. And it's a matter of discussion. I think even Tim's covered it on his
Yep.
show. So
Yeah.
we're going to talk about that. Somebody in the chat said the simp energy is strong today. Super chats don't reflect that, so I don't know what you're talking about. We're going to also talk about Lorde with an E.
Yes, Lorde with an E and not all caps.
Not the Lord, but Lorde
Yeah.
with an E,
She's
who's crashing out.
She's rolling out her new album, Virgin, and one of the lead singles is called Man of the Year. And she is in this music video with duct tape over her titties and throwing dirt all over herself. And it's really deep and artistic, obviously.
Yeah,
we just don't get it. We're Philistines.
When you look like a foot, you got to go avant-garde.
I mean, she doesn't look like a foot. She looks like kind of a turtle. Don't
So-
you think she looks like a turtle?
No, what I said was there was an actress on iZombie that played a zombie prostitute, a zombie hooker, and she looks like the ugly version of the zombie hooker from iZombie.
You said it, not me.
Sorry about that, guys. I don't mean to be rude. Sorry.
It's
It was
okay.
rude. All right, with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, we're just going to go ahead and get started. Are you ready?
Yeah, let's go.
Let's go ahead and get started. Taylor Swift has big news for everybody.
Yes, after 6 long years of whining, complaining, playing the victim, making loads of money, and lying to her ignorant fan base, Taylor Swift finally owns the masters of her original albums again. She bought them back from Shamrock Capital, the previous owner. For context, back in 2018, Big Machine Records, her first record label, sold her masters to Ithaca Holdings, owned by Scooter Braun. And then in 2019, Scooter Braun's holding company sold it to Shamrock Capital. And now they have sold it, finally, back to Taylor Swift
It's a game
for
of hot
an
potato.
undisclosed 9-figure sum.
I think it said below that Shamrock Capital acquired it for at least $300 million. So you can infer that, look, they don't get in this business to break even, and buying it and selling it for $300 million would lose them money with sales costs and inflation.
Yeah.
So my guess is she paid north of $300 million by quite a bit to get her hands on this, if I had to guess.
Variety says the final price tag came at what she considered a reasonable price. In one of the more dramatic business developments in pop music history, Taylor Swift has purchased her catalog of recordings that were initially released through Big Machine Records after 6 years of transfers and turmoil. She acquired those 6 albums and associated visuals from their most recent owner, Shamrock Capital, for an undisclosed 9-figure sum.
Has anybody checked Seamus? Is he driving a new car?
Is Seamus in charge of Shamrock Capital?
Like, what would Seamus's version be of, like, if I won the lottery, you wouldn't be able to tell, but there would be signs?
This is another thing that frustrates me about the way Taylor Swift has characterized this to her fan base who don't understand the business side of this industry. She has very rarely disclosed the fact that her father owned a 3% stake in her record label when she first released music as a teenager, because he comes from a background in finance. He's
3%
a
is a
stockbroker.
lot. Yeah.
He's a stockbroker. So he bought a 3% stake in her record label as soon as she started for I believe $120,000 at the time. So I'm sure he made money off of the sale of her music that she claims was stolen from her.
He's like, cha-ching.
Which is bullshit. But this is interesting because it's disputed whether Scooter Braun had anything to do with the recent sale.
This seems to say that
Yeah.
it does not believe he did.
Well, back in, I think it was May 22nd, it was reported that Scooter Braun encouraged Shamrock Capital to sell her music back to Taylor for $600 million to $1 billion. And this says that's completely false. There was no outside party who encouraged the sale. All rightful credit for this opportunity should go to the partners at Shamrock Capital and Taylor Swift's management only. Taylor now owns all her music, and this moment happened in spite of Scooter Braun, not because of him.
Okay,
The rumored price range also was reported as highly inaccurate, and while no price tag will be publicly forthcoming, insiders say the seller was interested in making a good faith deal, and the ultimate price was far closer to the $300 million that Shamrock was reported to have paid in the first place. So They're saying that the 600 million to $1 billion price was totally inaccurate.
Billion, I don't buy. 600 million? I mean, again, like I said, good faith deal or not, is the idea here supposed to be that he was supposed to pay all that money, pay the fees that kind of are incurred by making large purchases like that, and then not make anything on it? Maybe not $1 billion, but 400 million, 450 million, 500 million. I could believe that 100%.
Well, it's either that Scooter Braun was encouraging the deal and Taylor Swift's team just wants to make him look bad and lie about it, or Scooter Braun had nothing to do with it and he planted a story that he was encouraging the sale to make himself look better.
And you surmise that you think that he's kind of become this overblown villain in the industry, where and it's funny too, because he's this very unassuming, doughy looking individual, if I do say so myself. Like, he's not what you think of when you think of like the evil music executive who's kind of got the,
especially because he's young,
he's got the hard lines from drinking and doing lots of cocaine for years. This guy looks like the Pillsbury Doughboy in a lot of ways.
Don't buy the narrative that Scooter Braun is this calculating music industry villain who is pulling all the strings and trying to victimize people that he represents. I think that's bullshit.
I do believe that he pulls plenty of strings. I do believe that he makes lots of money, but I think that for somebody of his stature to make it as far as he has, that the idea would be that maybe some people get screwed over in the mix. Who are the other artists besides Justin Bieber? There was others before. There was Ariana Grande.
He represented a ton of people. Yeah. They dropped him, and that was, I think, either last year or 2023 that all happened. It was in quick succession that like all these clients were dropping him.
But
and then
he was moving away from that side of the business. His
explanation, at least, was that he was letting his contracts with his clients expire so that he could move on to focusing on
he also he produces movies and stuff now. Yeah. He's a very, very big dude in Hollywood.
It was very dramatized at the time. And Taylor Swift is great at drama. She posted a photo shoot with all of her old albums, celebrating this as a success story. And then she put on her website a long letter to her fans thanking them for all of their support through this process. She said, "Hi, I'm trying to gather my thoughts into something coherent, but right now my mind is just a slideshow, a flashback sequence of all the times I daydreamed about, wished for, and pined away for a chance to get to tell you this news. All the times I was this close, reaching out for it, only for it to fall through. I almost stopped thinking it could ever happen after 20 years of having the carrot dangled and then yanked away, but that's all in the past now. I've been bursting into tears of joy at random intervals ever since I found out this is really happening. I really get to say these words. All of the music I've ever made now belongs to me, and all my music videos, all the concert films, the album art and photography, the unreleased songs, the memories, the magic, the madness, every single era, my entire life's work." Later in the letter, she says, "All I've ever wanted was the opportunity to work hard enough to be able to one day purchase my music outright with no strings attached, no partnership, with full autonomy. I'll be forever grateful to everyone at Shamrock Capital for being the first people to ever offer this to me. I know. What about Reputation, Taylor's version?" So that was what her fans were pissed about at the AMAs. She didn't announce that she was putting out the re-recorded version of that album, but it's probably because this deal was still in process. And I thought, if she buys her music back and she owns all of it, well, then you really don't have a reason to put out the Taylor's versions anymore, even though you're 4 albums in. Now she's saying it could reemerge in its own time.
She's a marketing and a business genius.
Now, at this point, it was a cash grab in the first place with a pretense of necessity. Now there is not even the pretense of Taylor's version albums not being a cash grab.
It will be about like revisiting the originals and then re-recording it to re-examine her art from the beginning to what it looks like now, and everybody will eat it up. It'll make $1 billion.
I haven't even re-recorded a quarter of it. The Reputation album was so specific to that time in my life, and I kept hitting a stopping point when I tried to remake it. All that defiance, that longing to be understood while feeling purposely misunderstood, that desperate hope, that shame-born snarl and mischief. To be perfectly honest,
I took great issue with that before the show. I asked Mary what a shame-born snarl even is. I will say, as a final thought for myself on this, is that she is a fantastic writer in general as far as being descriptive of herself.
Yes.
There's a reason why people connect with her, because she has a way of evoking emotions through her words and her written words.
All of her song lyrics and the stories that she tells through them, and her Tumblr posts and her Instagram captions.
She's very good at it.
She is a genius when it comes to talking and writing about herself. And I concede that that is a skill. But they're really gloating about it now. Taylor Swift owning her masters while Justin Bieber had to sell his. They're mad at Justin Bieber for his enduring loyalty to Scooter Braun. And Kanye at his lowest. Kim irrelevant. Scooter Braun going broke. Okay,
that's not true.
You're all children and you don't understand the gravity of the situation. But
she will make endless money. She wins in the end. She will turn this into 6 versions, Taylor's versions, and then the origin version, and every one of her fans will buy all of them, and she's basically an Amazon or eBay reseller, but she's reselling it new. It's kind of amazing.
She keeps her side of the street clean. It's so annoying.
So, you know
the
what?
way that they just make her into this mythological hero, it's just too much.
I mean, she's what we should be celebrating for capitalism.
Sure, and in other capitalist news, Hailey Bieber has just sold her beauty brand Rhode Beauty to e.l.f. Cosmetics for a reported $1 billion. So she's not a billionaire yet, but she's definitely on track to become one in the upcoming years because of this sale. And I'm surprised by it because they just reported that Rhode was going to be sold in Sephora stores just a week prior. And I thought that meant she was more invested in the future of the brand. But this was what she posted on Instagram following the report of the sale. When I launched Rhode in 2022, I always had big dreams for the company. So today I'm incredibly excited and proud to announce that we are partnering with e.l.f. Beauty as we step into this next chapter in the world of Rhode. I found a like-minded disruptor with a vision to be a different kind of company that believes in big ideas and innovation the same way I do and will help us continue to grow the brand. I feel invigorated, excited, and more ready than ever to step into an even bigger role as Chief Creative Officer and Head of Innovation of Rhode, as well as a strategic advisor to e.l.f. Beauty. Thank you to the amazing team who have helped me build over the years. I couldn't have done it without all of you, and to our Rhode community. Thank you for being the most supportive and for being on this journey. Everything is a journey. This next chapter is going to be even more incredible together. This is only the beginning.
That was like 3 years of business turning it into $1 billion company.
Very early. Yeah, and it's something that, like, I know men have no clue about, and I don't even pay that much attention to the beauty industry because I don't buy makeup. I feel like this used to be a thing where in the 2010s, girls were really obsessed with buying makeup, and then they stopped caring and started buying a bunch of skincare. Probably during the pandemic because you didn't have a reason to put on makeup anymore. But the most popular product in Hailey Bieber's line by far is this lip gloss. And the genius of it all is that she released a phone case in tandem with the lip gloss that is like, it has a slot where you put the lip gloss in the phone case and carry it around with you all day. That's pretty genius. Like, I have to give her props for that.
Yeah.
So it's like a whole personal lifestyle brand and a status marker to have like the phone case with the lip gloss. Girls are really into it. But the interesting part of Hailey Bieber's sale of her beauty brand is not just the sale. It is the rumor mill around the breakdown, the alleged breakdown of her marriage with Justin Bieber. And people are basically saying that Hailey sold the brand to help Justin Bieber as he is sinking toward bankruptcy. and that was one of the reactions. They said, oh, Justin Bieber is truly in debt.
Here is a photo of what it looks like when your wife has finally got all the money in the relationship. He is the guy in the restaurant when his girlfriend is paying, who comes up behind her and puts his hands in her back pocket.
He's hugging Hailey from behind in the line at Chipotle.
Everybody's seen that guy.
He's hug from behind energy.
He has hug from behind energy.
I'm crying. She made bank and now he's all over her. We have a 20 from Pop Culture Junkie. I've had to deal with music licensing a few times, and the whole Braun Swift affair leaves me confused. Not sure who the villain is here, and suspect there's a bunch of stuff we just don't know, and we'll probably never know.
And it's probably not all that interesting.
Yeah.
It's probably not.
Well,
guess what? There isn't always a villain. Sometimes it's just business.
The only reason it caught the public's attention in the first place was because of Taylor Swift's emotional self-mythologizing around the whole thing and the story that she told about it, not because of the truth of the situation. Another fan of Hailey's said, Hailey becoming a billionaire before her husband and his ex is so funny to me. You go, girl.
Wait, I thought his ex was already a billionaire.
That's what I thought too. So I was confused by that. I thought Selena Gomez was already a billionaire because of her own makeup brand, Rare Beauty. And I looked into it, and just a couple of weeks ago, Forbes said, here's why Selena Gomez isn't actually a billionaire. So back in September last year, Bloomberg reported Gomez's net worth to be $1.3 billion, thanks to her makeup line. But based on Forbes's reporting, Gomez is very wealthy, but estimated to be worth roughly $700 million.
The poorhouse, my gosh.
Yeah.
Somebody in the chat said she didn't design the phone case. Obviously, somebody that worked for her did.
Yes,
but it says Hailey Bieber's Rode Beauty viral peptide lip tint phone case was designed by someone named Sam Sontag, the former brand designer at Glossier.
That makes sense.
So
yeah,
but that person is never going to get the credit.
No,
it's like the guy who invented the Super Soaker.
And also, it was noted that Hailey Bieber didn't own 100% of her makeup line in the first place, so the $1 billion sale would not automatically make her a billionaire, especially after taxes, and other holders of the company. And I don't know. I just think that people are going to use this and weaponize it against her marriage and Justin, especially as he's rumored to be going broke, and the sale of his music catalog was a sign that things are going downhill for him. He's gonna be fine. He would be fine without her, but he's definitely more than financially okay as long as he stays in this relationship, hence the gold digger allegations. And other people even thought that he married Hailey for a green card, given that he's Canadian.
I remember that. Because wasn't it like the 5-year requirement was up, and they thought he was going to divorce her, like right after he got his, right after the 5-year requirement for a green card marriage was up. I remember that conspiracy. It was like September of last year. Yeah. There was like this countdown. It was like September 13th or something. For some reason, that's stuck in my brain.
Well, no divorce thus far. But it doesn't help that Justin has constantly made jokes about them being in an arranged marriage and weird. I mean, it just seems normal for like a random baby boomer to say like, oh, the old ball and chain. But he's made so many remarks like that, including at one point telling Hailey on a live stream, if you weren't so hot, I wouldn't have stayed with you this long or something. Like,
okay, here's the thing. That type of comment, it depends on the couple and their sense of humor together, right? Yeah. Depending on who they are. That's never for public consumption because it will never be taken that way.
No, and he seems to have zero discretion on social media about that type of thing.
Yeah.
But his comment about the arranged marriage, that was in an interview on Ellen that he said that. And he was saying it in earnest, and people laughed because they were like, oh, haha, what a funny joke, Justin. But it didn't come off that way.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think that it's just a bad look for her. to be with someone who allegedly is using her for money.
I mean, I don't know if the idea here is bad luck. They're young still. I mean, respectively speaking, they haven't been married all that long, and tumultuous times can pass. One of the things about the internet is you tend to bottle everything up and everything feels very condensed as if it's all happening at once. Getting out of the news cycle would be good, but that's almost impossible when you reach a certain level of fame. It seems like a sewer slide for a marriage, if anything, to have to constantly be in the news and have your interactions framed a certain way. We're even doing that right now in a lot of respects. But for them, it's inevitable. And it's unless you marry someone completely out of the spotlight and you work real hard to keep it that way. I was just reading today Dolly Parton talking about like how her husband, who passed recently, had been sick for a very long time. And not many people knew because Dolly Parton kept that part of her life very private. For as public as she was with her good deeds and her business and all that stuff, she kept her private life very private. But that's kind of reminiscent of a bygone era. That's something that an older generation would see value in that younger celebrities just aren't going to get.
That is a generational difference. Because in contrast, you have Hailey Bieber doing an interview in Vogue where she's going into detail about her traumatic birth experience and how she was induced and all of these medical traumas that she went through. And, you have Justin Bieber writing emotional essays about his interior life on Instagram next to a picture of a stingray. And you just feel like it's too much that they're sharing, but because they're young, I guess that's their mode of being. They don't know another way to behave.
I'm sure there are plenty of young celebrities who see the wisdom. We're going to get into it with Jenna Ortega. She said she got a flip phone because social media was bad for her. And I'm sure some of them recognize the danger that it poses to relationships, but not enough of them. If the number isn't 100%, it's not enough of them.
Common sense ain't common.
No, it is not. All right, let's move on then. We got a whole bunch more stuff to get into.
Yes. The set for a biopic directed by David O. Russell has reportedly devolved into chaos because of his bizarre behavior on set. Allegedly, he said the N-word and insisted on full frontal nudity from a supporting actor. And this supporting actor ended up walking off set and quitting over this whole thing. It's starring Nick Cage playing John Madden, but it's not a biopic about John Madden necessarily. It's about the creation of the video game.
Yes, it's about his life after he retired from coaching and he started announcing, and then he went on to create the Madden video game series, which is one of the most iconic video game franchises in history to this very day. It is a legacy far greater even than his football legacy.
They also have Christian Bale playing Al Davis, the owner of the Raiders, and John Mulaney appears as Trip Hawkins, founder of EA.
Yeah, and he was the guy who basically created the game.
Catherine Hahn plays John Madden's wife.
Told you, Catherine Hahn, you cannot deny talent and charisma. Catherine Hahn was like, again, I point out, she was in Crossing Jordan in like 2002 in her like early 20s, and she didn't hit her career stride and peak until she was well past what all of the actresses claim is like when Hollywood discards them. Like, it's one of the most annoying narratives in Hollywood. They're like, they just discard. and it's like, what's her name from Everything Everywhere All at Once, who gets more work now than she did when she was in her 20s in America.
Right. And then they also have Sienna Miller portraying Al Davis's wife. It doesn't sound like this is going to pass the Bechdel tests. So this supporting actor remained anonymous, but talked to TMZ about the experience. TMZ spoke with 5 members of the cast and crew, and they independently leveled serious claims about the film's director, David O. Russell, who has it would be an understatement to say that he has a weathered reputation as a director and a person.
Should I read them here? Just the main ones?
Yes, but we do have a 20 from Raiden Cross/Counter. I'm chatting to reach out to you about your car's extended warranty.
Oh.
Oh, well, I'll be sure to follow up with you about that. That sounds very concerning.
I loved all those memes that were going around when, like, who is it that India was beefing with, like, last month, and everybody's already forgotten about it?
Pakistan?
And they're like, imagine, like, they both fire nukes and all of the cold calls you get just stop all at once. Anyways, so first of all, I like the likeness. Of course, I always remember John Madden with white hair, but of course, when he was younger, he had darker hair. But Nicolas Cage, I wonder if they put him in a fat suit or if he put on the weight. If you're his age and you put on that weight, you might not be able to get it off, right?
But Christian Bale's on the movie, so you have to really commit.
He's going to commit to it. So, again, David O. Russell, we talked about him a lot in the lead up to the movie Amsterdam, which oddly enough we did review. On this channel. He has, as Mary said, a weathered reputation, to say the least. And I just was looking back. There's whole lists that are made of just his controversies. Like, there's somebody's job at some outlet to categorize and list them all. So he fought with George Clooney on the set of Three Kings back in 1999.
Physically?
He claimed that that Clooney was trying to take over the set because he's a big movie star, and then Clooney claims that he was being verbally abusive, which seems to be pretty much
to the other people.
Yeah. And then he also verbally abused Lily Tomlin on the set of I Heart Huckabees, and there was those very viral videos that leaked around that time of what was said on set. We talked about that here on this channel. We even showed those videos at one point. And now this one is my personal favorite because it's just this is hearsay. It was some producer sources this. He says that he put Christopher Nolan in a headlock after he tried to kind of steal Jude Law from a Nolan movie in 2004 at some Hollywood party. And I'm picturing Christopher Nolan just before going into production. No, in fact, at that time, he would have been in production on, like, Batman Begins. So he's like, I got to go to work tomorrow. Stop doing this.
Was it like oh, we're just horsing around, but then it gets a little bit too serious?
I'm guessing it gets a little bit too serious. Again, that's hearsay. No confirmation on this. But there's, of course, the most serious of all of these is the sexual assault of his trans niece. And this is not hearsay because he admitted to this.
Right.
And no charges were ever filed.
He admitted to it, and he said that it wasn't a problem. Yeah. We talked about that because recently, Jenna Ortega was getting a lot of backlash for signing on to a movie directed by David O. Russell alongside Robert De Niro called Shutout, and people were angry at her for associating with someone with such a terrible reputation. The story around the assault is... Thank you.
Appreciate it.
We have tonal issues.
Y'all, it's literally right after the serious part.
Perfect time. The story over the assault was especially weird because the way that it was put, they were having a conversation about the estrogen that his nephew turned niece was taking and the effect that it has on breast sizes.
Yeah.
And that's when he started, like groping whatever was or wasn't there on his nephew's chest, which is just disgusting.
Yeah.
So more about Madden. Crew and cast members told TMZ that on Friday, David O. Russell was working with the unnamed supporting actor on an impromptu monologue, and David O. Russell allegedly said the N-word, which upset the actor along with others who allegedly walked off set before they broke for lunch.
Look,
and
Papa John lost his his business over this.
What was the context for that one, though? Wasn't he quoting somebody?
Yeah, he was quoting or condemning it in like a speech to the board, and it didn't even matter.
Right.
This is actually. It sounds like we're being sarcastic here, but it's an interesting thing to consider when you think about how much Hollywood likes to virtue signal about problematic people. What is it about certain directors that just give them the pass? Like, why is David O. Russell, why is it, aw shucks, it's just David being David again?
Well, Francis Ford Coppola is afforded the same excuse.
It is one of those
I think Bill
things
Murray
where
as well.
if you're of a strong enough celebrity status and you've produced enough wealth for people in the industry, people will hold their nose and work with you.
Right.
Or I would even posit the idea that they're not even holding their nose and they don't even really care.
They don't care.
They don't care.
David O. Russell gets away with it the same way that Francis Ford Coppola gets away with it, the same way that for a very long time Harvey Weinstein got away with it before his industry turned on him. And even after Harvey got convicted and is rotting away in prison, he said openly in his interview with Candace Owens that people in Hollywood still work with him, and he does pro bono work looking over scripts for movies.
Because
still.
they care about themselves. They don't actually care about other people.
But the sources have told TMZ it was actually the unnamed actor's idea to include the N-word in that scene after a private creative conversation with David O. Russell. But ultimately, the word was not used when they shot the scene, and the sources stand firm that David O. Russell did not say the N-word while shooting the scene, but declined to speculate what exactly upset the actor and others in the moment that led to them doing this walkout.
He wouldn't have lasted a moment on the set of Deadwood.
The cast and crew sources also say that a day earlier, the same actor made it clear he did not want to be nude in a scene in a locker room, which allegedly pissed off David O. Russell, and his reaction was unprofessional.
I'm sorry, but this just reeks of Hollywood interference, where they're like, there's no need for this, but they gotta shoehorn it in somewhere.
Yes.
And they're like, they're naked in the locker room. Let's film stuff in the locker room. If you go to IMDb and look up this movie, my favorite part is when you see the tags for the film. The tags are like sports movie, biopic. It says football, biography film, locker room, male nudity.
Oh. Those are on the tags?
Those are on the tags. And then head coach after that.
Maybe those are AI generated. Just because
Maybe.
those are in the articles right now. An intimacy coordinator tried to make this actor more comfortable with the suggested full frontal.
That's their job.
And suggested blocking. But the actor still had an issue, which is when David O. Russell calmly said he didn't have to be in the shot. Which I assume is more so to mean, if you don't want to be part of this movie, GTFO. The studio stressed, they mean Amazon, stressed that nudity was not sprung on anyone. Everyone knew well in advance that parts would be on display there wherever.
I am more... look, here's the thing. The streaming services, not to go off in too much of a tangent, then we'll finish this up. You just knew that... because it's for Amazon, they would never make it about John Madden himself. They had to make it about some obscure.
You're like, yeah, like video game movie.
But the thing is,
biopic.
It makes
Let's
sense.
do both.
It makes sense because the Madden video game series in many ways became bigger even than John Madden himself.
Yeah.
And has reached way more people. But if you're gonna make a John Madden biopic, you make that for the theaters. If you're going to make some biopic about the creation of something like the Tetris movie, the only thing more shocking than this not being about John Madden is the fact that Apple TV didn't make it.
Amsterdam bombed at the box office. That was a theater release. That
but I think
should have been a streaming release.
No, that was never. It was that Christian Bale,
Margot Robbie,
John David Washington. Well, he doesn't really count because he's not really a big star, but he's a star trying to be on the rise. But Christian Bale and Margot Robbie are always going to go to the theater.
What about Babylon? That wasn't directed by David O. Russell, but also had Margot Robbie in it. Bombed. Seems like it just should have been a streaming movie. I don't know.
Yeah.
One individual told us that production had been a mess with conflicts like the aforementioned allegations, and tensions were being exacerbated by Nick Cage and Christian Bale, who are both true method actors, portraying their characters with an intensity that doesn't end when the cameras stop rolling.
Nick, everybody's heard the famous blow up of Christian Bale on the set of Terminator Salvation when he's yelling at the was it like the set or he was yelling at the director of photography. Oh, good for you. Everyone's heard that. The scarier thing to me is I'm picturing them being method actors with the full frontal nudity, just like whipping the towel off and walking around naked because it's true to the character.
Craft services.
Yeah. Parts on display.
Whipped out.
Yeah. All right. Look, the movie set sounds tumultuous, but the sad part is a documentary about the movie being made is probably going to be more interesting than the movie itself.
Same goes for Megalopolis, actually. I think the Megalopolis stories were funnier, though.
They were.
Francis Ford Coppola.
Yeah, but they're only like weeks into filming here. It could get worse.
Although, I don't think Francis Ford Coppola has been accused of anything that serious.
No, wasn't there something?
Well, he was accused of, like, touching people who didn't want to be touched, but, like,
and
not
he pulled, like, a Chris Cuomo. Or he pulled, like, what's his name? I'm not a pervert, I'm Italian.
Right, exactly. It wasn't in a...
Is that Chris Cuomo? Who was that?
Violating way. It was more just like he's a quirky, senile old man who doesn't know what's socially appropriate, which
like
I
Bill
find,
Murray.
Yeah, exactly. Like Bill Murray, which I find a little bit less condemnable.
Instead of being grandfathered in, they're grandfathered out of Me Too claims.
Yeah, the method acting thing is also super pretentious. Like
Christian Bale
chill out.
Christian Bale gets a pass because Christian Bale is
Christian Bale is Christian Bale.
He delivers. So
what about Nicolas Cage?
Nicolas Cage, yes, he does. He absolutely does.
The only way that this could have been more chaotic is if they had Jake Gyllenhaal on the set. I remember us talking about how a film set totally devolved into chaos because Jake Gyllenhaal was like...
I forgot about that.
He wasn't even method acting. He was just acting like a crazy person. One part, he was in the writer's room and started playing a Greta Thunberg speech with rock music in the background and crying to like access the emotions for the role, you know?
This is why whenever you're like actors, you can't just do sex scenes and go home. I'm like, yes, they can. They're weird.
Yeah.
They can absolutely do
Some
that.
of them,
they're weird.
Some of them
They're
can
weird.
and others get divorced.
Okay. All right, let us move on then. What would you like to see? Cringe or cute of the day?
Let's see cute first.
We'll do cute first. We do have, let me see if we got it here. Yes, this one from Jen. It says they just tagged us both in hashtag PCC Pets, and Phil is in there too. It's from it's from the Cringe of the Day from Thursday.
We love our dog fans.
That's a good one. Let's do one more here because I have yes, we have a nepotism hire of Cute of the Day. Olivia Claire says some recent toast for Cute of the Day because she's a chaotic queen and I love her. She likes to bother her when she's working.
I love her little mouth.
Yeah.
She looks like she's smiling.
She almost does.
Do you see that? She's like doing a little smirk there.
She's so whenever Olivia's in the office working on like stuff, like work stuff, the Toast is more affectionate when you're busy than when if you're just sitting around, Toast is all left to her own devices. But the second you have something that you need to do, Toast wants to be all up on you.
She needs to get in the way.
This is my favorite. I said this is very memeable. Very hyena-esque. And then there she was just out like a light.
Love Toast.
We love you, Toast. Short for toaster strudel, if you're wondering.
Oh, I forgot about that.
Short for toaster strudel. All right, let's do Cringe of the Day. Here we go.
This is pretty bad.
Don't tell me to tone it down. Because believe you me, you tell me to tone it down, I will tone it the fuck up. Here's a little PSA for you. Don't tell me to tone it down. Because believe you...
Where does one even buy a mesh shirt? Like, and how does one do so with dignity?
I will tone it the fuck.
You tell me to tone it down, I will tone it the fuck up. Here's a little...
That was the most badass thing I've ever seen in my life.
PSA for you. Don't tell me to tone it down.
It's like the leftist version of Razor Fist, the uncool leftist version of Razor Fist.
Because believe you me, you tell me to tone it down, I will tone it the fuck up. Here's a little...
Okay, all right.
He will tone it.
He will. He's not going to listen to you, man.
He doesn't care.
Let's get started.
All right. Jenna Ortega just did an interview with Harper's Bazaar in which she revealed doing Wednesday and having it become an overnight success made her a very unhappy person for several reasons. One of them was that she felt patronized by having to wear the costume, the schoolgirl uniform, as a grown woman. I think that just comes along with the territory of being an adult playing a child in a TV show, but I must be speaking out of turn. She has an insight into the pressures of fame that we don't have.
I wonder if like Robert Downey Jr. was like, I felt patronized having to put on the Iron Man suit.
Right? Like,
actually, that was probably all CGI anyways. But do you think Chris Hemsworth was like, I felt patronized having to put on the Thor costume?
So it seems like Jenna has gotten a little too big for her britches and needs to tone it down instead of toning it the F up. Regarding the instant success of Wednesday on Netflix, which, by the way, because it blew up in its first season, she also became an overnight success, and she became an executive producer for the second season and any seasons that it gets going forward. She said, I was so stunned that I didn't really process it. I still haven't. It was so overwhelming. It felt like something was happening to someone else, and so unnatural that it was something human beings weren't designed to go through. She says, we used to live in villages and meet maybe 300 people in our lifetimes, and now we can travel all over the world and meet way too many people, and way too many people can be familiar with you. I had a really hard time with social media. It was really turning me off. So she was saying after the success of season 1 of Wednesday, she was planning to book a getaway to a farm in Iceland where she could go fishing or something. I don't know.
What if she just like took a wrong turn and ended up on that ranch that Ezra Miller was on?
Ooh. You do not want to end up there in the trenches with Ezra Miller.
I mean, she was an adult, so she should have been okay.
That plan to hide away from the cameras fell through because Tim Burton reached out to her for the Beetlejuice sequel, so she ended up filming that summer instead. But she also said that she resorted to buying a flip phone instead of her smartphone because the amount of feedback she was getting on social media was just so overwhelming.
Here's the thing, like, on its face, I agree with most of what she said. Most of that analysis of everything that you just said is pretty accurate. Mm-hmm. You didn't meet a whole lot of people in your life, and you don't even have to go that far back. If you go to just pre-smartphone era, it was a big deal if you moved out of your hometown and went off to college. Right? That's still so. We just had a discussion the other day about people talking about the back and forth between people who decided to stay in the small town that they live in, not even necessarily small town. Sometimes it's just a suburb, and those who go out and decide to live in the city or something like that.
Right.
And that was its own thing. On top of the fact that now you're connecting yourself to 10,000 zillion million other people who, when you're as famous as she is, are all going to have an opinion about your life. She's not wrong. It's just that when it's phrased the way it is, and Variety doesn't help her at all here. The Harper's Bazaar interview is far more detailed, whereas the Variety was a bit of journalism where they just it's cherry picked, but it doesn't make you look good. But there's no way around that. That's the way the media frames these things.
Yeah, it's not that I don't sympathize, because it must be really hard to be a working actor from the age of 9 years old. She was a child star. She was off the Disney conveyor belt and has been performing all her life. And that does mess people up. For all things considered, she's doing pretty well for herself as an adult. But I think that the level of fame Wednesday introduced into her life, that is kind of what made her reach this breaking point. After Wednesday blew up, a familiar narrative coalesced around Jenna Ortega. For young women who stick up for themselves and don't calibrate their words for public consumption.
Okay, I'm sorry, but it hasn't been a thing for women in Hollywood to calibrate their words for public consumption for like at least a decade.
They do like the opposite of that.
Literally the opposite. It's I'm speaking out. I'm speaking truth to power and other such stupidity.
Yeah, like I'm speaking from my ivory tower. That's, for better or for worse, how people consume stories like this. Yeah, we can recognize that this star is a human being and they have their own interior world just like everyone else, and they have their own problems. But ultimately, we just don't want to hear it. We just don't. We don't relate to it, certainly, and we really aren't that interested.
I mean, even on the smaller scale, like, imagine if me and you were like, oh my God, this job is so difficult. Like, nobody in the chat is going to have the slightest bit of sympathy when your job is to come on screen and talk about stuff every day. Right. So and part of your job is to understand how that makes you look to the world. But the thing is actors tend to be very self-indulgent, and they love getting the opportunity to kind of speak on themselves. And I feel for them, because it doesn't make anything that they're saying untrue, but it is absolutely true that who you're speaking to has to be taken into account when you give the. There's a reason why people seem to relish hearing Tom Cruise talk about his gratitude for his work, for his ability to entertain you. It's a privilege for him to do that, and that type of message goes far and wide with people, because people respect that approach to the world.
That's why people took so well to Jenna Ortega's dedication to the role and the story of her changing parts of the Wednesday script to fit the character more faithfully. And that it was an endearing story. That was a story that a lot of people really liked from Jenna Ortega, and it told us about her personality. This, not so much. They say she felt incredibly misunderstood. She gets that the internet rewards controversy, but she tries not to pay attention. I feel like being a bully is very popular right now. Having been on the wrong side of the rumor mill was incredibly eye-opening. She might be referring to the rumors of her dating Johnny Depp. It's easy to hide on social media, which makes it even easier to say hurtful things. We're incredibly desensitized and disconnected from real interaction. If you could speak to everybody like Wednesday, just say what you truly mean, it would be amazing.
I mean, that's what I want Meghan Markle to do.
Well, yeah, but that's like an overcorrection that's only necessary for her.
Yes.
You know? Because she's so fake. Jenna Ortega wasn't in a great place after the first season of Wednesday. Quote, to be quite frank, after the show and trying to figure everything out, I was an unhappy person. After the pressure, the attention, as somebody who is quite introverted, that was so intense and so scary. There are ways in which Wednesday has felt like a double-edged sword. I'm doing a show I'm going to be doing for years where I play a schoolgirl, but I'm also a young woman. And they bring up this comment from Natalie Portman, which I believe was from last year. Natalie Portman was a child star as well. Mm-hmm. And she says that in Hollywood, kid actors are basically treated like little adults. And there's no concept of how strange it is for a child to be in a workplace with a bunch of adults. And you're just kind of expected to roll with the punches and not act like a child when you are one. And those were a lot of cautions that Natalie Portman was issuing about putting kids in the entertainment industry in general. And that's, I think she said her own kids she would discourage from doing the same.
I just saw something like Zach Galifianakis, which is a name I hadn't heard of in like 10 years.
Yeah, what's he doing?
He was in Lilo and Stitch, I think. And he's like, he keeps his family far away from Hollywood.
So Jenna Ortega reacted to what Natalie Portman said, saying, I relate to that so immensely. And it's always been really annoying because you just don't feel like you're being taken seriously. You know,
you're
it's like,
not, you can't be. As a kid in Hollywood, you cannot be taken seriously.
Well, she thinks she's not taken seriously even now as an adult because of the character she plays.
That is cope.
She said, you know, how you're dressed in the schoolgirl costume, there's just something about it that's very patronizing. And when you're short, people are already physically looking down on you. So she has some kind of Napoleon complex about being like 5 feet tall.
You're a girl. Girls are shorter.
I've literally never felt in my life, like as an adult, that people were looking down on me because I'm 5'1". I never felt like people disrespected me because of my height.
That's one of those things where when I hear girls talk about the problems with being short, I'm like, I get it when guys complain about that because guys are generally considered, they're the taller gender. So when a guy is shorter, that's a problem. Like, I don't see maybe I just don't have any empathy for maybe that empathy has been removed, but it just doesn't seem like a problem for women.
The women over 6 feet tall are reading this.
See, no, that's what I'm saying.
Seething.
The women that are tall seem to be the ones who have the right to complain.
I agree.
Yeah,
I agree. I would not want to be a woman over 6 feet tall.
Like, as a
tough.
short dude, like I feel more for the tall women than the short women.
Then she said, boys get away with more, but girls, if they don't stay as this perfect image of how they were first introduced to you, then it's, oh, something's wrong. She's changed. She sold her soul. But you're watching these women at the most pivotal times in their lives. They're experimenting because that's what you do. I think what she's referring to here, without making it explicit, is her recent red carpet appearances where she looks drastically different from how people recognize her. She has bleached her eyebrows and grown out her bangs, and she seems to have gotten work done, but that's not confirmed one way or the other. A lot of people were just saying, like, what happened to her? She looks terrible. She's going out of her way to look ugly. She sold her soul. That was one of the comments I saw, that she's sold her soul to the Hollywood machine. And people just kind of throw comments like that out there without really meaning it, that you signed your name on a dotted line to the devil. Yeah. But, you know, that's why she said that, clearly. Mm-hmm. Am I reading into it too much?
No, I
think she's referencing that recent red carpet appearance.
Those words that you're saying
CinemaCon and Met Gala.
The way that you phrased it, the way people are phrasing it, is just that exact type of, like, overly dramatic, overly literary version of how they're framing an article or how they're framing the change in her appearance.
And in terms of this conundrum she has about wearing a schoolgirl outfit, I don't know what to tell you. You were an adult that signed up to play a child in a TV show. It's not that complicated. She was 18 when she started production for Wednesday. And let me see how old she is now. Isn't she like 22 now?
I don't know why I thought
they took
she was
a long
older.
break between seasons.
Well, it was 20. They probably filmed it in 2021 if it came out in 2022.
She's 22 now.
Okay.
And
that's nothing in Hollywood. Like, Hollywood used to put 30-year-olds and have them play high schoolers.
Right.
Like,
yeah.
did I wonder if like, all the actors who have ever had to play like a jock in school felt patronized because they had to wear a Letterman jacket on set, rather than maybe they weren't an athlete in high school and now they're like, I wasn't an athlete. Why do I have to wear this stupid Letterman jacket?
It's just all so formulaic in the media. Like, I feel like I see another long-form, self-indulgent interview in one of these magazines from a different actress every week, and she's doing an artsy editorial photo shoot with her eyebrows shaved off her face, wearing some bullshit costume that is equally patronizing. Like, you should feel patronized by the way that journalists talk to you, not the way that you play a character on TV.
There is a crisis party given to us by Francisco Sanchez Jr., who says, take my money and Mary, please dance to the party music. Thanks. Well, when it goes off,
I was already planning on it.
Look, I can't, this is purely running on vibes here, but when guys give interviews that are this self-indulgent, it's even more unbecoming, so I feel like they tend to avoid it more. As far as their introspection on themselves. And if you're a celebrity, especially if you're a guy, but it would benefit the women as well, focus on gratitude. Focus on what you've been given and afforded.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I am dancing.
She's dancing.
I don't know why you even needed to ask.
Yeah, she always dances.
I literally always dance to the party.
Every time.
That felt patronizing.
Like,
that felt patronizing. You asked me to dance? What am I, some kind of clown? Am I some kind of dancing monkey for you?
What was that song? Dance Monkey. That was like a song a couple years ago.
You actually did. You patronized the show.
JB Spooky Review says, is the Letterman jacket sexualized like the schoolgirl outfit, though?
The outfit she's wearing in Wednesday isn't sexualized.
I never saw it that way. Now, you could make that comment about that kind of outfit in general. In fact, considering we mentioned Natalie Portman, the first thing I thought of was the schoolgirl outfit they put Natalie Portman in V for Vendetta with the priest.
I thought of Leon the Professional, where she is actually like 11 years old in that movie, right? And she's she's definitely sexualized in that movie.
Yeah.
If Natalie Portman did a little retrospective on that movie and said, you know, that wasn't right, I would agree with her. But Jenna Ortega's costume in Wednesday isn't sexualizing.
He's
at
saying just in general.
In general, yes, but you know.
So what is the?
It's not like that.
There is. I don't think that there's necessarily a guy's version of this, but the corresponding reality is that women benefit from their sexuality more than men do. You could, at least on camera, and when it comes to getting roles, there is a net benefit to a woman's sexuality that doesn't benefit men in the same way. Now, you could say, does Chris Hemsworth feel patronized every time they make him take his shirt off in a Marvel movie? But they don't. The guys don't complain. They get in shape and they do the work.
I don't even know if she's saying it's because it's objectifying. She's just saying people view me as a kid because they watch me on TV as a kid.
Then don't take the role.
Should you feel patronized or objectified or put into a box when, if I understand correctly, Jenna Ortega played a porn star in the movie X? No, I haven't heard her complain about that at all.
I wonder
even though it did nothing for her career.
I wonder if Rachel Zegler was like, it was patronizing when people thought I was a millennial teenager in Y2K. My bell bottom, well, that wasn't a bell bottom. What did they call those cut jeans?
The boot cuts?
The boot cuts in the 2000s. My boot cut jeans were very patronizing.
Yeah, I mean, Jenna Ortega certainly hasn't soared to the levels of irritating that Rachel Zegler has, but maybe it's that flip phone helping her out. With each passing headline not getting better for her. And I think that this is just another sign of the passing celebrity culture. Everyone keeps saying this, and I'm worried that... That is true. Andy Panda's right. Henry Cavill did just say, like, why do I have to keep taking my shirt off in The Witcher? Well, his point wasn't that he felt any sort of way about being shirtless. He just felt like it was inappropriate for the role based on the source material. Yeah. He thought they were over-sexualizing his character. And it is true. He also mentioned Reacher. It is also true that in Reacher, they literally use any opportunity they can to have him take his shirt off because the actor is, you know, very well known for his physical image. Yeah, but Alan Ritchson never said anything about feeling. I think he did. I think he might have. I think he might have mentioned it at some point. Andy saying he did, and I vaguely remember reading something like that. But here's the thing: nobody's gonna care when the guys say it. Like it's just not gonna matter. It's not gonna matter because most of the time the guys are just gonna do it anyways, and it's just not considered as lewd when guys do stuff like this, when they're shirtless constantly in shows and movies. No. And those are some rare examples when you're far more likely to see like stuff for the female gaze on the men now than you are the male gaze with women. I mean, I would say a lot of the Reacher shirtless scenes are also for the male gaze. Well, that's my opinion. That's a whole nother discussion. But the point being, so yeah, I don't know. It's I think like I said earlier, we were interrupted by the super chat. Focus on gratitude. Focus on the opportunities that the industry has afforded you, and never seem to be complaining as much as I'm not like, and I know that sounds like you're kind of trying to limit them. I'm trying to give them business advice here. This works later in your career. If you want to write the tell-all book, I still think it ends up being kind of corny most of the time. But early on in your career, if you're looking to ingratiate yourselves to audience who you're basically looking to enter into a relationship with, I'm going to make this movie, I'm going to make this TV show, I'm asking you to part with your money to watch something that I've made. Ingratiate yourself in the best way you can, because most of the time you're asking people of lesser means than you to part with their money to enrich your life. And to do that, a certain amount of humility and gratitude has to come par for the course. That could be argued that it's a little bit different with women, because women like to commiserate more than men. True. But I don't know if her audience is necessarily more women than it is men. I can't tell. It's definitely a Zoomer audience. Yep. And put this into perspective. How does it come off when you're complaining that you weren't able to take a vacation sabbatical at 21 years old for the summer? Yeah. It's just something most people will never understand the ability to do. Hold up. Yeah. What 21-year-old can afford to take a sabbatical over the summer.
I mean, you hear
on
this
a
a lot.
farm in Iceland.
You hear this a lot from actors who are like, I went to go prepare for my next role for 6 months by living out in the middle of nowhere.
dumb.
It's like, you don't understand that, like, most people, they're just not gonna have any sympathy for that.
Pop Culture Junkie sent us a 20. Natalie Portman was 13 when she played Marty in Beautiful Girls, a 1996 film that probably would have had difficulty getting made in today's environment. Well, I don't know anything about that movie. Have you watched it?
No, I haven't seen it.
At least if we're talking about Leon the Professional, that probably shouldn't have been made. So, I mean, it's not like a bad movie or anything, but it probably was not ethical for them to portray a child the way they did.
So, all right, let's do some super chats.
Shane H. Wilder said, "Happy Friday, Brett and Mary. The PCC soap flyer is out. Yes, you have laser eyes. Just don't tell RFK the chemicals we use to make it PCC purple and pink." Well, as long as there's no bathwater in it, I'm happy.
In the chat, William Beswick says, Sabrina Carpenter patronized. Do you think she feels patronized?
By
Her outfits?
Her outfits. I mean, I think she's personally curating all of it, so she's leaning into it, and she seems to be happy with being portrayed as a bimbo. Greg Duvier said Mary was a ghost on IRL last night. Yeah, I didn't really jump into that.
Was it Elijah Schaefer?
conversation
It was Elijah
often.
Schaefer, right?
It was Elijah, and he also brought Sarah Stock, who works for his company.
If you're in this space and it's a night where you don't want to have to say much, always look to be on an episode with Elijah and Tim, because they will
I didn't know. When I heard that Elijah was on, I was just certain going into it that they were going to get into a debate or two, and that's
and it's going to have to do with Israel, right?
Well, there was that. Then they also had a debate about whether or not Gen Z is lazy and entitled.
Did Elijah say?
Can we guess?
Did Tim say they are, and Elijah said they're not?
Yeah.
Okay. Deep South EDC has a Rumble rant. Says, "Happy Friday, you two. Hope you have a great weekend." Well, we will.
I'm planning on it. Thank you.
Let's do one more.
Garant, I believe, said Mary might be a ghost, but she's marriage material ghost. Okay, it's none of your business whether or not I'm marriage material.
Hey, I'm working.
How would you even know? That's the thing.
See,
you don't know.
I
could be a criminal.
For all you know, she robs businesses
Yeah.
on the weekend. I'm actually working through a marriage book because I am getting married this year, and I'm actually
marriage material.
I'm working to become marriage material by being introspective about my own shortcomings and what I offer and what I don't offer to a relationship.
It's like the first page of the workbook, and it's just all red pill questions like, what do you bring to the table?
What's your body count?
What's your body count?
Let's hold off on the rest and we'll come back. Let's move on.
I need to
Let's
center myself. Okay.
Let's get serious.
Eugenia Cooney is a YouTuber who has worried fans and onlookers alike for a very long time now. Ever since she has been in the public spotlight, she has appeared very clearly dangerously underweight and most likely has an eating disorder, although she has never explicitly said that. She's never come out and admitted that. And I think as long as she has been in the public eye, people have been, as gruesome and morbid as it sounds, waiting for her to die. I mean, she truly looks like she is on death's door. She's almost certainly going to die young, and she is only 30 years old. So if she does, in fact, have anorexia, which is almost undeniable, this is about the age range when, unfortunately, if they don't recover, they start dropping like flies. And even if they do recover, oftentimes the health issues that result stay with them. Mm-hmm. So in a recent live stream, Eugenia Cooney was appearing to undergo some kind of medical episode, and the fans watching started freaking out, thinking that she was about to die on live stream. In the video, which I believe I sent you, Brett, she appears to be convulsing or almost about to throw up, but it appears actually that she's having a heart attack, a mini heart attack.
Yep.
All right.
She couldn't stay close to the camera So she slumped over on the couch, and she's looking down, but then looking back up at the camera, and seems to be convulsing on the couch and not saying anything. It's weird because she's trying to save face as if everything is normal later in the video. Is she speaking?
I just wanted to the music. I don't want to get.
I'm just kind of like letting like stress. I can't make it off. I'm just kind of like letting like stress get to me.
Stress is getting to her.
All right, I'm gonna get off for now.
Yeah, that's very dark.
I mean, to me, it looked like she was gonna throw up the whole time. They were like wretches into throwing up.
Right. Someone said Eugenia clearly was scared and couldn't sit through the symptoms this time. Can't even keep down water. As problematic as she is, I still feel bad for her. The full live is very scary. They're suggesting she might have been having a heart attack as a result of her eating disorder. All symptoms point to one. They're pointing to shortness of breath, odd jaw movements, and fatigue. But she's just like doing her makeup on this live stream on TikTok, acting like everything is normal. No one's buying it at this point.
No, and we've had this discussion before where it ends up inevitably coming back to leave her alone. And like her fans tell you to leave her alone. And people who have eyes and half of a functioning brain can see that something is very clearly not right. And then you get into a whole discussion about autonomy. Whose business is it to intervene in a situation like this? It gets into the discussion about should this be promoted online
or even allowed
online. And this would actually be an interesting discussion. If Tim wanted to have a culture war episode, would be to bring on the libertarians to discuss Eugenia Cooney.
Right, because in a way, you could argue that Eugenia's content, for as long as it's been up and allowed on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, that it's in a way inciting or encouraging young impressionable followers to imitate her. And there have been many people who have said they've seen, younger siblings or family members starving themselves or attempting to starve themselves because of the influence of her content.
Yep.
And it's all shock value. That's what it really is. Her audience consists of children, probably adults with eating disorders who are using her content to trigger themselves, and thirdly, fetishists who have a fetish for anorexia. That is a real group of people. A lot of them are the ones paying her donations to dance and move around and do things they know are going to exhaust her because they get off on seeing her suffer. And back in 2016, there was a change.org petition put up calling on YouTube to censor her content, to take down her channel from YouTube, claiming that she was promoting anorexia. And at the time, she released a statement saying some people are saying that I'm a bad influence on girls. I just want you to know I've seriously never tried to be a bad influence or influence anyone. I would never want to do that. I have never told anyone to try to lose weight or try to change the way they look to look like me. But it doesn't really matter what you're trying to do at that point, because the reality is, that is the influence you're having.
And people will have the same discussion about body positivity and somebody who is overweight or aggressively obese and overweight, and saying, I don't promote this to people. All I promote is my message of positivity. But the question is, what is the side effect of that?
And ironically, the result of that petition was that her YouTube channel stayed up and the petition got banned. So people were censored from even talking about the very clear and obvious health crisis she's in, but she was allowed to stay unmarred on YouTube and not even have her content age restricted. And then in early 2019, she took a break from social media to seek treatment. That was because her friend group in real life called a 5150 on her, and she got involuntarily committed and put into a 72-hour hold that resulted in her getting put into a long-term recovery center in Connecticut, and then she went back to LA after 1 month. And of course, you know, you got forced into treatment and go home and you just go back to the same old ways of self-destruction you were accustomed to before. There was no intention of those changes actually lasting.
I feel horrible for her. Like the road ahead, if you're going to get healthy, is so unbelievably difficult.
There's no road ahead. There's no road ahead. Because even if she decides to try to recover now, she's still going to die young. That's almost guaranteed.
You don't think that if she caught it now and she fixed eating habits and got to a normal weight, she wouldn't be?
I mean, once you're
like, her heart is just too damaged from what's happened.
Like once you're in your late 20s or if you're in your 30s, certainly, like you're either going to recover and then have a host of other health issues for life that are going to lead to you dying young, or your body just isn't going to know how to process it, and you will probably just die anyway. So there's no path forward for her, sadly, and I do feel bad for her. I also understand why people are mad at her, because she's denied responsibility for the influence she has. Yeah. But at a certain point, do you even have the cognitive ability to understand that?
I mean, that's what they were talking about in this like thread on here. It was like, I don't even know if she has the cognitive ability to understand what she's promoting to the world. Yeah, someone
commented, Trump supporters shouldn't get sympathy. They're claiming that Eugenia Cooney is a Trump supporter because she made a TikTok after Trump lifted the TikTok ban, thanking him for protecting TikTok. Ironically, she should be banned on TikTok, but she's allowed on there because they want kids to be fed content like hers. And then they said, do you think she even has the capacity to understand what being a Trump supporter means? She can barely remember what makeup step is next, much less anything going on in the world. She's repeating what she hears from Jeffree Star and her mom.
I did kind of laugh at, like, I was like, what? Why is Jeffree Star at the Spider-Man No Way Home premiere?
They invite influencers to those things all the time. But yeah, Jeffree Star has kind of tried to be a friend to her and invited her to events and stuff like that. She probably doesn't get out much. All she does is, like, she just goes to Disney. And she just, you know, plays dress up in her room and live streams and gets donations from people who are more sick in the head than she is.
It's sad.
That's the extent of it. And her mom is an enabler, too.
Yeah. Does she live with her mom? Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah, like somebody in the chat earlier asked, like, where is her mom? They're like, she's in her 30s. Like,
yeah, she's been an adult this entire time, but she lives with her mom, and her mom benefits financially from her having this audience that is sick and obsessed with her, and basically enables the whole thing. So
it's sad.
Yeah, I mean, the question is, like, should social media platforms take action to censor this? What do you think?
Look, at a certain point, you have to wonder how far is too far. And when someone is like, okay, you could be very, very thin, and then somebody could be like, yes, but that's her business. But when somebody's having physical episodes on stream, shouldn't these sites start thinking about their own needs,
their
own liability when it comes to this stuff? If we're talking purely out of the realm of self-interest, the blowback from banning someone who's so very clearly mentally unwell is going to be less than if something bad happens live and you get endless reports from people who complain because somebody dies on stream.
Right.
Speaking from a business perspective, you know, not even from the moral one, like, you're running a greater and greater risk every day. And given the size of YouTube, like 2 million subscribers is a lot, but is that the type of money that's going to make the lawsuits that could come from this worth it? I don't think so.
Yeah, I think it's hypocritical bullshit that you can get censored on YouTube for, like, making political statements. Yeah. And you're not going to get censored for basically broadcasting your slow sewer slide. You would get more likely to be censored for saying the word sewer slide or unalive than you're likely to get censored for what she's doing. But I do think, even though that's a double standard, she should probably be censored. I think she should be, because, you know, most of her audience is either people who want her dead or people who are watching her in order to encourage their own self-destruction. So
Okay.
it's basically incitement to self-harm.
All right. Let's move on to some super chats there.
Dingus Khan said, I'm celebrating my 40th birthday today. All I need is this show to make it a great day. How long until I get to yell at people to get off my lawn?
Soon.
What's the NIMBY cutoff age?
Like when you can
The
officially
minimum.
start?
Yeah.
I mean, I always imagined it was like when you reached retirement age.
Oh, really?
Like, shouldn't you have to be like retirement age to start saying, get off my lawn?
The sad thing is kids aren't even on anyone's lawns these days.
Yeah,
'cause
like-
they're all doom scrolling in their bedrooms.
That would be a great skit to be made. It's like you finally reach retirement age, you buy just the right porch chair to go sit out there, and you get out there and it's just, there's no bikes, there's no kids running,
Nope.
there's nothing.
No one's on your lawn.
And then you're like, I was born in the wrong time period.
I was born in the wrong generation. Dull and Tired said, what up, fruitcakes?
Sup?
I do not answer to fruitcakes.
Sup?
Weary Traveler said, I actually do simp for Jenna Ortega, TBH. You're not the only one. Yeah. I think
So
that's
do-
why she's going to get a lot of leeway for
So do ruler
these comments.
makers.
So do what?
Ruler makers.
Oh, because of the ruler dress. Yeah. AI Shih Tzu said, we should raise money to get Mary a Big Lebowski sweater, so when she's on IRL, she can say, well, you know, that's just like your opinion, man. Did I have a moment like that?
Did you say that?
I don't remember saying that, but I could. Shane H. Wilder said, fun fact of the day, the You Wouldn't Steal a Car ad did not license the font or the music, which was No Man Army by The Prodigy. The MPAA ad itself was built from sailing the high seas.
LOL.
Oh, the anti-piracy thing. I never even saw that ad. Where did you see that ad?
Television when I was younger.
Because I didn't even...
I wonder. Here's the.
I
real
never
funny
saw
thing. I'm
it.
gonna look it up on YouTube, and I wonder if we'll get copyrighted for playing it. That would be ironic.
Wait, did they mean like recording a movie on a VHS tape?
I mean, that would have been around the time of Napster and and Kazaa.
I had never even heard of Kazaa. You told me about that one.
Yeah.
AI Shih Tzu said, blow up the super chat with suggestions for Brett's movie reference costume when he guests on IRL.
I'm not gonna
He
wear
could
a
be the
costume.
MacGuffin in Pulp Fiction, or...
Wait, so I'm just glowing gold in a box?
Do you have any costume ideas, Brett?
I mean, look, I don't want to wear a costume. I'm just going to give people movie suggestions, not movie references.
Yeah.
I stopped doing that. I was derailing. I was 10 minutes in and I'm making ludicrous
Was
allusions.
Tim getting pissed?
No, it's just, eventually I would have felt stupid saying it. But I am going to make, maybe if I remember tonight, I'm going to be on IRL tonight. I'm going to try and make some type of recommendation for something for people to watch. But I don't know what it's going to be yet. I do have this ad though. Here we go. Let's,
The,
anti-piracy ad. It's going to be ironic.
This is intense. This just makes piracy sound really cool.
Like, thanks. Now I want to. He just stole a purse. Okay, so no crackhead agrees with you here. Plenty of crackheads would steal a television. You wouldn't steal a movie. This is what every ad was like in the 90s too. Insane industrial music was what every ad was in the 90s. Remember when I'd play the Surge ads?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what it was. Being a kid in the 90s was... No wonder I became addicted to energy drinks.
Interesting.
Being a kid in the 90s was basically just one big adrenaline push.
That just made piracy seem really badass and cool.
You like you're wearing a leather jacket in Oakley's. It's like, have you ever seen the meme? It says like what I look like to my parents when I switch the TV from HDMI 1 to HDMI 2, and it's the guy with the laptop and the
orange tinted
sunglasses, which is funny because when I was watching Enemy of the State again, like recently, he's totally got the sunglasses, and they're like, this is what hackers look like.
Do you think they wore the orange glasses for blue light blockage?
That's probably why.
Yeah. Gordon Shumway said, I stopped using the term common sense years ago because I realized common sense is not common. I like to refer to it as instinctual knowledge instead. Well, people have their instincts dulled. That's why they don't have any common sense now.
Here's a Surge ad I've never seen.
Whoa. It's brimming with libidinal energy,
yes,
right?
Yes, it is.
And it makes
what?
Oh, that guy's gonna get sick.
And it burns.
He drinks the surge to...
You gonna eat that?
See, not just libidinal energy, but male prankdom.
Wait, what was that last part? Why did
he just ruined his burrito by putting his finger in it?
That was a weird moment to end on.
Yeah.
Just poking his burrito.
This is what it was like to be a kid in the 90s. You had Thunderdome-esque competitions to get soda.
It's a fully loaded citrus soda with carbos. Feed
with carbos.
Like, I thought now we're trying to get away from carbos.
With carbos.
Okay,
no, they mean the bubbles.
Well, I mean, carbos as in carbonation, that doesn't make any sense. That's like...
None of it makes any sense. Poking the burrito doesn't make any sense.
All right, let's move on before we get too sidetracked.
Wait, hold on one second. I just need to log back in here.
Hate it when that happens.
So annoying.
Hate it when that happens. Because Lorde is crashing out, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah,
as we know. All right.
So Lorde is rolling out promotion for her upcoming album, Virgin, and one of the lead singles is called Man of the Year. And in this music video for Man of the Year, she has her breasts taped down with duct tape, and she is in a room full of dirt, throwing the dirt around, throwing the dirt all over herself because she just doesn't care. She's a free spirit. And I think this is just Lorde continuing her ongoing crash out. And it's getting to the point where even her fans are concerned. It's not landing with them. This was how she described her single. Biking, smoking. This is all in caps, by the way. Biking, smoking, swimming, new strength in my shoulders, feeling something awakening. First taping my chest, so scared to be him. The GQ party, laying back on the white couch with the mic in my hand and letting it happen. Son, there was just son, I don't know. And then she's in this dirt room. Let's show the video.
Okay, here we go.
Doing some interpretive dance, throwing herself on the ground, contorting her body.
Muting this shit. We're not getting copyrighted today. We're probably going to get it for the Johnny Cash song.
And the worst jeans ever.
Really is. All the women of today just took all the jeans that men wore in the 90s and made them theirs.
Like, I feel like just because you're doing this on camera doesn't mean you don't need to be institutionalized.
Like just because somebody's filming it doesn't make it art.
No, it doesn't.
Okay.
I mean, she might as well eat the dirt.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if she just took a clump of dirt and put it in her mouth.
Let's face it, the worse than the video itself is that there's some long-winded artistic explanation as to what the core of it means, and you just want to go.
Oh, I have that.
And here's the thing: if this was in person, she better not tell me this on a rooftop because I'm just right off. Like, I would rather.
We're kidding.
Yes, I'm joking, but you get what I'm saying.
Yeah. So I went and read the lyrics to Man of the Year, and it's understandably intellectual. One of the verses says, "Now I go about my day riding it like a wave, playing it any way I want. Swish mouthwash, jerk off." That's the lyric. And this is the annotation that Genius has given to that verse. Lorde describes the freedom that comes with rejecting societal expectations of women and living life your own way. She gets to choose what to do and how to do it.
Is anybody telling women how to live their lives now, really?
Literally, no one is telling women not to do anything. That's the problem. That is the main problem we're facing. No one is shaming anyone for doing shameful things. That's the core of society's problems.
Like, it's just not a thing. It's not. Like,
They really feel it, though. I mean, you can't argue with that. They feel so encumbered. They feel so shamed and like I don't know why, but they feel so imprisoned by their own existence.
Who is Lorde in her day-to-day life even running into that's telling her she can't live a certain way?
This is a PSA against birth control, because Lorde has been very open about the fact that she has gone off of birth control, and she had been on it since 15 years old. She's now off of it. She described ovulating for the first time as the craziest drug she has ever taken. Oops. And what you're looking at is a feral woman who is off the deep end from ovulating. I mean, this is not normal. This is not healthy. So this is a PSA, that you never should have been on the pill for a decade in the first place, because if you go off of it, this is the withdrawal symptom. You're in a room full of dirt, screaming about jerking off. And then there's another line at the end. "Let's hear it for the Man of the Year." I believe she is referring to herself. And she said in an interview that the construct of this song began in 2023 when she attended GQ's Man of the Year party. And we talked about this at the time. GQ has a list of, men of the year for whatever accolades they've earned. Mm-hmm. That year, they included women in it. It wasn't just Lorde, but also, I believe, Kim Kardashian?
I remember that.
And several other examples. They just decided that the GQ Man of the Year can be anybody, including a woman.
Well, woman.
Yeah, so
checkmate, incels.
Man of the Year is an ode to GQ honoring Lorde as a Man of the Year. She says, "I wrote the song the next day.
Wait.
I wore a hot girl dress to the party and felt so not like myself. And the next day we were in the studio and I was like, I want to write a song about how I'm the Man of the Year to me." And she's talking about wearing a hot girl dress. I'm looking at the dress right now. It's not that. Thank you.
I too want to wear my hot girl dress.
Yeah, it was a lot like what Ellen Page, now Elliot Page, said regarding wearing dresses on red carpets to promote movies. She felt so uncomfortable putting on some kind of show of femininity for cameras at such a young age. I suppose that is a valid thing to consider as a formative experience, but
I feel the same way.
Doesn't mean that, like Elliot Page, you need to get a double mastectomy. It doesn't mean that, like Lorde, you need to put duct tape over your boobs and scream about jerking off.
My own personal hell is having to listen to her tell me what the duct tape symbolizes. That is my own private Vietnam.
She's also acting like the worst guy ever, which is what these women tend to do.
What's what they want. They want what they mean by their divine feminine is to be a fuckboy.
Well, yeah, I mean, I don't think she's talking about embodying the divine feminine here, but usually when women say they're going to embody their sexually liberated identity or whatever the hell they're talking about, they mean acting like a fuckboy, acting like a douchebag. And what she did is she went to Addison Rae's Instagram page and commented on one of Addison Rae's posts saying, "It's so yummy seeing someone so in their body."
It's kind of that tweet got it's not showing up anymore for me, but my favorite part about degenerate Hollywood is how, like we talked about with the Jennifer Lopez stuff at the AMAs, they've done so much that there's nowhere else to go. Outside of like, just eventually they're just gonna show bestiality on camera because they've got nothing left, and they've done all of the risque stuff that they can.
Yeah, they're kind of at that point
There's
already.
Nothing
incest.
shocking. There's nothing interesting. It's boring. It's repetitive. It's indicative of a coastal elite attitude that has long since lost its luster to much of the world. Or even if you want to take a more cynical approach, you don't have to be a California 10 in Hollywood to be a complete degenerate scumbag anymore. Mm-hmm. You can just join a dating app and be a degenerate scumbag and indulge your every whim. There's nothing glamorous about it.
No.
There's nothing, or okay, let's say glamorous. There's nothing interesting about it in any way, shape, or form.
No.
There's really nothing new under the sun.
Well, the interesting angle that Lorde had when she was first rising to fame as a teenager was like the premise of her single Royals, where she's this working class
struggle
teenager talking about her social status in her hometown and the, you know, class differences between her and her classmates, and that was the whole point. And what do you do when you've made a song saying you're never going to be a royal, and then you become a royal and you're at the Met Gala? What's next? Yep. This is what's next.
She should have made a song where she just says, "We are royals."
I'm a royal. Like, that's what I am.
What she should do, put on a regular shirt, remove the duct tape from your titties, and make another song like Tennis Court or Teen. Those songs were fantastic.
I don't think she can.
I think you can do it.
I think if she could, she would.
I think the duct tape, I think the sticky substance on the duct tape is getting into your bloodstream and it's cutting off circulation to your brain. Remove the duct tape, get out of the room covered in dirt, and write a song like those, and everybody will be happier for it.
But this is nothing new for Lorde to be preachy and talk about feminism all the time. Mm-hmm. Someone pointed out the irony here of her sexualizing Addison Rae when she criticized Selena Gomez years ago for her song Come and Get It, because she believed that it was objectifying to women. She said, Lorde criticized Selena Gomez's song Come and Get It for its perceived anti-feminist themes, saying, "I'm a feminist, and the theme of her song is, when you're ready, come and get it from me. I'm sick of women being portrayed this way."
She portrayed herself that way.
People will say exactly what they think about a movie or TV show, and that's fine. But as soon as you say it about a song, you're like some zombie in a funny dungeon. She's so insane. I have pretty strong morals and opinions being in pop music, and I can't help but express those, which I think people appreciate.
Wait, so she just realized one day that it was no longer fiscally prudent to be a sex-negative feminist?
I think she did.
Life hits you hard.
Right. Feminism, the next wave of feminism, you know.
Whore feminism.
Yeah. It hits you like a truck.
Yeah.
And,
it wasn't the same thing.
It's funny she was saying that about Selena Gomez when it's like, it's her song.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if Selena Gomez wrote the song, but
it's not like she was like a video girl in
It's her song. It's not like she's criticizing Emrata for being in the Blurred Lines music video, which is a song by a man.
Yep.
She didn't have much to say about that, from what I recall.
I mean, come on. Then what you do is you become one of the people in the chat. Like, why do you care? So why do you care so much? Why do you care so much if Selena Gomez asks someone to come get it? Huh?
Come get
What-
it.
What's
Isn't
it-
that like, I don't know, consensual or something?
Sounds like it to me.
Whatever. The fact that that was considered sexual, like that was considered, you know, beyond the pale of sexuality in art back in whatever that was, 2013. It just shows how far we've fallen, and Lorde has fallen too. I think that we will need to study Lorde's downfall.
Well, I mean, she should take less. You know. I changed my mind. You know who she could study is Hassan Piker, because he is a very successful communist who makes lots of money and doesn't seem any problem with the messaging. She should just keep making communist propaganda music.
I mean, her songs are all about herself. You know, they're not really about like any larger.
It doesn't matter. Lie.
Message.
Just lie. It's Hollywood. They lie anyways.
Yeah.
Who cares? I mean, most of the time when people listen to music, it's to imprint on themselves anyways because they hear something and it resonates with them. Who cares if it's about you?
Okay, here's what I really think. I think Lorde, her brain is fried because she has admitted at this point that she has taken psychedelic drugs and probably to the point where she just cannot think anymore. And she doesn't understand what she's saying or doing and how it comes off to other people, and she's not capable of logical reasoning anymore.
Okay.
Like, I just think that she's fried her neurons with DMT to the point where her brain is just gone.
Okay.
And that's why she constantly looks like she's looking at a train wreck.
She does in the one photo.
She looks spaced the F out. Like, she is not mentally here.
You know what it
with
is?
us.
It's like, have you ever seen that meme? It says, like, has work ever kicked your ass so hard you just drive it home alone with no music? Like the face you make when you're doing that, where you're like...
That's what Lorde looks like.
That's me when I leave work sometimes, and I don't even like... Some days
Glazed
just like...
over. Yeah. Yeah. No, she really looked more horrified. She looked like she was witnessing a car crash,
Yeah.
actually.
All right. Well, let's
Prayers,
finish
thoughts and prayers for Lorde. How about that?
There you go. We'll finish on a positive note. Super chats.
Pop Culture Junkie said, one thing to remember is that the Bieber Elf deal involves cash and stock, and Elf stock up 20% as I type this and was already on a tear. If she's not a billionaire now, she will be soon.
Yeah.
Yeah, it comes with its own issues.
That was
doesn't
one
it?
of the things that we didn't mention in the John Madden segment was, like, I was reading about him in the video game. They said that one thing that he turned down when he started working with EA was, like, unlimited stock options, and he said it was the dumbest decision he's ever made in his entire life.
Wait, I'm sorry. I don't know anything about sports. Is he alive?
John Madden passed.
When?
Recently.
It was recent?
Recently.
Is that why they decided to
Probably.
make the movie?
Maybe somebody can correct me if I'm wrong. I believe he passed fairly recently, in the last 5 years. I could be wrong. But he was just a legendary sports figure. He really was.
Yeah.
Not just in the video games. One of my favorite cameos in a movie is when he shows up in, didn't he show up in Little Giants, him and Emmett Smith? Am I misremembering that? I feel like they show up to teach the kids how to play football towards the end.
Pop Culture Junkie said the stories about Russell and the making of Amsterdam are numerous. A good source told me lots of money spent on post-rap party NDAs. So there were NDAs issued about what went down just at a party after production?
December 2021 he
wild.
died. It was pretty close on the year.
Okay.
So within the last 5 years.
Shane H. Wilder said, you can do anything in Hollywood if you make them money, unless you do it while Christian. Think Mel Gibson, who was excommunicado for ages. Yeah, I mean...
He never stopped working, though.
He never stopped working, but he was blacklisted by a lot of people. You can't deny that. And he's making this Passion of the Christ sequel right now. I forget the title, but it says Resurrection in it.
It's not Passion of the Christ 2 Electric Boogaloo.
It's unfortunately not.
The
Because it's not, you can't make two movies about the same thing. So.
Christ the Returning.
Well, it's something about the resurrection of Christ. There's a subtitle, I don't know. And that's going to make a lot of money. Do you think so?
Yes, I do. I don't know. I don't think it's gonna. I think that Passion of the Christ was very successful at the time. But I think in relation to how we view big budget box offices now, it's not going to be like a $1 billion movie, but it'll make a lot of money. Maybe
Depends
it will.
on the budget they've done.
I mean, maybe it makes $1 billion just by virtue that it'll be even more popular outside the U.S. than it will inside the U.S.
Really?
I was right, by the way. John Madden did show up in Little Giants along with Emmett Smith. Steel trap when it comes to something as long as it isn't necessary or relevant to your life experience.
They're definitely not going to be showing Passion of the Christ sequel in China, though.
No,
Certainly
I don't think
not.
that will. I don't think that will be allowed. Alexis Panavega was in this movie. Huh. I have to go back and rewatch it.
Greg Duvier said, "Boo, not mocha. Put a mocha on, not toast."
No.
Shane H. Wilder said, "Hey, tone it the f down." No, I'm gonna tone it the f up. All right.
Okay.
Believe you me. The worst part of it was him saying, "Believe you me." Like, what are you, a grandma?
Listen here, buddy.
Listen here, bucko. I'm gonna tone it the f up. TN Fame said, "Wiki Feet update. 4.7 out of 5 star. I think it's just Instagram pics. PCC go rate 5 star. It's worth it. Also, Mary is my favorite Timecast guest." I love the alternate universe where it's called Timecast.
This is the saddest thing. I'm looking at how resurrection is spelled. There isn't an obvious place to put the number 2 to replace a letter with the number 2. You know, like they put a 2 in a movie rather than the letter.
Right.
Yeah.
You mean the Roman numeral instead, or
No, just like they'll do that with like Too Fast, Too Furious.
Yeah. Shane H. Wilder said, "Not doing that." There says podophilia is a mental disorder.
Podophilia.
Wait, what is that?
Your feet.
Oh, I never knew it had a technical term.
I remember in the show Bones, there's this guy he's a scientific expert just on feet, and everybody makes fun of him because he's a Canadian who's only good with feet. He's like, "I'm not a podophile."
Francisco Sanchez Jr. said, Oh, I already read that one. That was the 100. Weary Traveler said, "Brett is a short king and Mary is a small bean." I do
Mary
not
is
identify
against
as
small
a
bean
I'm
culture.
against that. Yeah. Please never call me a small bean. Weary Traveler said, "Mary drives in the left lane for a reason."
Do you? Do you drive in the left lane for a specific reason?
I really don't. It makes me scared. I don't go in the left lane at all. Shane H. Wilder said, "Any fan who says leave her alone is not a fan. She needs help. There is a difference in a chick being skinny and healthy and one being emaciated." Yeah, I mean, people just say, you know, you're bullying her and making it worse. Like, come on.
What if you went the entire opposite direction and started like a food channel?
Eugenia?
Yeah.
And
Like a mukbang channel.
she just becomes 600 pounds overnight.
I mean, no, you get back to normal.
Well, she doesn't want that. I think the best way to help her, weirdly enough, is either to ignore or compliment, because she wants to be horrifying. She doesn't want positive feedback. Carl Walker sent us a thumbs up. Thank you. Straight Rippin' 93 said, "Pumping iron and listening."
That's what's up.
Love that for you. Pete Donovan said, "I once knew a girl who had spent years in and out of inpatient treatment for anorexia and BPD. I don't know if she's recovered now, but I hope so. I wouldn't wish that kind of torture on my worst enemy."
Yeah, like when it comes to something like that, like as somebody who like loves to snack at night and to think about like how bad it can go the opposite direction with like the inability to like stop yourself from eating, and who probably is more than a little bit addicted to sugar, like any type of addiction or problem you have related to food or your weight and stuff like that, it feels like that would be truly hell. So I really do feel for her,
because that is something that you can't escape.
Yeah, like it's in, like for me, one of the things that I used to talk about once you remove yourself from the ability to have access to the things that you were addicted to, it makes life a whole lot easier. I can't imagine being one of those people like with severe alcoholism where alcohol is just available everywhere. Like I never liked to drink much, so saying no to that has never been the biggest issue to me. But for the other stuff, it was about removing yourself from the environment and influences that could like lead you down a bad path. But how do you get away from like food when you need food to survive?
Right.
And it's just horrible.
Definitely. Napalm Bra said, I'm just blowing up Super Chat too. Say my name, Mary. Well, I did.
You did.
There you
Napalm
go.
Bra.
Do we have any Rumble rants, by the way?
We went through the one. Let me just double check and make sure
Just
that
wanna make sure.
No, we are caught up on Rumble rants. Feel free to rant on Rumble though,
Yeah.
if you so desire.
Gordon Shumway said we need to get the Big Labonte a shirt that says "Shut the F up, Elad" to go with Mary's shirt. Does Phil actually say that? I've never seen Phil actually be rude to him. Like, I think that's just a bit. He's a nice guy. Pop Culture Junkie said Enemy of the State, best film ever made with a Faraday cage.
I liked the Faraday cage that they used in Person of Interest to run simulations for the Machine Against Samaritan.
What is that?
It blocks all signals in and out.
Oh, right. Forgot about that.
Yeah.
P. Donovan said, is this your homework, Larry? Is this a reference to something? I don't understand it. Do you?
Mm-mm.
Okay. Dinkus Khan said, Surge, the original energy drink.
Yes. I mean, it wasn't an energy drink.
No, it's not.
It was, but...
It's not the first energy drink.
No. So I had an energy drink when I was younger called Rooster Booster.
What?
When I was,
Ew.
yeah, Rooster Booster.
That sounds disgusting.
And it only came in 8-ounce cans, and it's got a Wikipedia page.
That's
So that like it was like
disgusting.
that's the first time I'd ever seen an energy drink of any sort. It was when I was a kid. So a long time
I didn't know they
ago.
were that new of a thing.
I mean, this is we're talking about in the late 90s, though.
It says the first energy drink was created in Japan in the 1960s by the Taisho Pharmaceutical Company. It's a big pharma invention, which introduced Lipovitan D in 1962, marketed as a medical tonic to combat fatigue, and contained a mix of B vitamins, taurine, and caffeine. Interesting. Shane H. Wilder said, I bring up that the MPAA illegally used the font and music for their ad, and we go off on a surge tangent. Welcome to PCC. You never know what's next.
Yeah.
We do recognize the irony in that. Weary Traveler said, Man of the Year by Schoolboy Q is the superior Man of the Year.
Oh, it was from
I don't think I've heard
the
that
quote
one.
is from The Big Lebowski. I haven't seen The Big Lebowski in years.
Shane H. Wilder said, Zombie in a Funny Dungeon is the name of my emo band. Yeah, what was that? I feel like she's just always been crazy, and now she's worse at hiding it.
What is a funny dungeon in comparison to like a regular dungeon?
All she was trying to say is like, you know, I should be allowed to comment on pop songs or something, but she made it into a literary exercise. Pete Donovan said, Brett, did you ever watch a show on FX called Testes? My dad was a fan, along with your USA Network favorites Monk, Psych, Burn Notice, and Royal Pains.
No, not a show that I've ever heard of. There's and it's the funny thing is like the very few of the like times can people suggest a show that I've just never heard of. That happened recently when somebody suggested I watch a show called Terriers with Donald Logue, which I ended up really, really liking. And the fact that I had never even heard of it was kind of crazy. It was kind of what inspired me to write that list of shows out that I have like pinned to my Twitter. What is it about? Like, I don't know. Like, whoever named a show Testes obviously didn't want it to succeed. Like,
because you can't like recommend it to
like,
someone.
hey
at
man,
work,
have you seen the newest episode of Testes?
You can't have water cooler talk about that show.
The episode was called Ball Drop. It was a New Year's episode.
Shane H. Wilder said it's the resurrection of the Christ. I am planning on seeing it. I just don't know what to expect. Omega Red Fan said, I support pro-Gongo propaganda music. Furthermore, Madden's in-game commentary was memorable.
Testes. Okay, so it says Testes is a show. It's two close friends are employed as guinea pigs for a pharmaceutical company. Each episode deals with the different research products given to the test subjects. There are other stories that play out through the seasons. Well, there's only one season.
Are you planning on watching it?
I don't know. This is
If
like,
it's USA Network, I feel like that's safe for you.
I haven't even heard of any of these actors. Like, these aren't even actors that I've seen. It must be more comedy than drama, which is less my bag.
Psych is a comedy.
Oh, it's a sitcom. That's why I haven't seen
Psych
it.
is a
Psych is not a sitcom. No. Psych is like quasi-dramedy, which leans heavier into comedy.
It's so comedy, though.
It's mostly comedy.
Yeah. Not as much drama.
But it goes through the typical. It's an hour long, so it's not like a 30-minute sitcom. So each episode's an hour long. I would place it closer to like a procedural that just happens to focus on comedy.
Pop Culture Junkie said, "Great shows this week. Merry, safe travels, and enjoy your in-flight pretzels." I will not. I will not be enjoying any in-flight snacks, pretzels, or anything else. But thank you. Went full R word, said, "Y'all make me laugh, keep rolling." Thank you.
Thank you.
We will. Pop Culture Junkie said Gene Hackman made another film with a Faraday cage, The Conversation, directed by Francis Ford Coppola.
Yep, a lot of people believe that is Gene Hackman's most underrated movie.
The Manic Mustache said, "No Cuomo, I kind of want to try Rooster Booster."
I don't think it exists anymore.
Do you think it's available on eBay or something?
I would love to be able to find it. It's so.
If it is, you would drink it and just die.
But the thing is like that's like that. Literally, like when I look up Rooster Booster energy drink, the first thing that comes up is buy online.
Okay, well,
can I?
They must have changed the formula over time. Then.
No, doesn't exist anymore. This looks like it's something else.
I always see those glass bottles of Coca-Cola in vintage stores that are still have the Coke in them, and I just wonder, like, if you tried to drink that, what would happen to you?
Bad things.
It might be fine though.
There's a thread on r/Quick Trip discontinuing Rooster Booster.
What year?
This is from 2 months ago. This thread. My dad and I went around to our local Quick Trip, and one of the employees there told us to stock up as much as we can because it's apparently being discontinued. That just doesn't feel right. Can any other employee say whether it's true or not? And if so, are there going to be, or is the fountain drink going to still be around? Just wondering because it's legitimately the only energy drink I like. This is why, for all the bad stuff that the internet gives you, threads like this are why we need it.
Is there an r/Rooster Booster community around Rooster Booster?
I would love that.
Shane H. Wilder said, "Prayers for safe travels, Mary. Well, make sure Brett and Aiden don't destroy the studio. I'll throw holy water at the screen to keep the demons away." Thank you. I appreciate that.
Holy crap. Okay, so this is the can that I remember. Like, it's got all this crazy...
Does it have a rooster mascot?
It's got a rooster on it. Hold on.
And then Shane H. Wilder said, "Psych is The Mentalist meets Scrubs." Come on, son.
That is essentially true. Here's what it looked like.
So
who wouldn't want to drink that?
The cartoon rooster on it.
Yeah.
He kind of looks like the Cocoa Puffs bird.
Well, the 90s had all sorts of like steroided out animals and creatures as logos.
They took Toucan Sam and made him look like a baby. They babyified him.
Why?
They did the same thing to the apple and cinnamon.
Oh, so they also like when they kept this going, the Rooster Booster, they sold out and made like normal 16-ounce cans. So it's like a regular energy drink.
Wait, what was it before?
Back then? So like in the late 90s, they probably thought like they'll die if they have this much sugar and caffeine. So it was like an 8-ounce can. Like you can still get the Red Bull in the 8-ounce can. They're like, we don't want people to die. They have to get their energy shot in the 8-ounce can, not a full-size can.
I just can't stomach an energy drink. I'll just stick with coffee because the taurine really, that's what's nauseating to me. Like the
Okay.
taste of taurine is sickening.
I mean, the most disturbing thing you should know about an energy drink is if I left on a Friday and I came back on a Monday and there was still like Monster left in the can, it would taste the same. Just doesn't seem right. Doesn't seem right.
But you would drink it?
I have done that
You
by accident.
drank lukewarm
By accident.
still
And it
Ew.
tasted the exact same.
flat Monster?
It's not flat. It tastes the same. It will live on forever. Like my stomach will likely live on forever because it was coated in so much.
You identify as a garbage disposal.
Basically, yeah.
Well, we're all caught up on the super chats.
All right. Guys, before we go, would you hit the like button on this video, please, and subscribe to the channel if you are new here and you have not subscribed here already, both on YouTube and on Rumble, because if you don't subscribe, then you won't know when the new episodes go live. So, Mary, where can they find you?
You can send me validation on Instagram at Mary Archived, or you can send me hate on X. That is also Mary Archived.
I'm going to spend tonight on IRL, like, looking for Rooster Booster cans on eBay. That's what I'm going to do. Guys,
If you're wondering why Brett isn't chiming in more, to
I'm
the
going to win an
political
auction and go,
discussion,
oh!
That's why.
One more from Pop Culture Junkie says, no redone cereal box mascots are ever good. Yeah.
No, I want the OGs back.
They lose their whimsy. Guys, if you would like to follow me, you can follow me on Instagram and on Twix at Brett Dasovic on both of those platforms. This show is here 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, which is, of course, noon Pacific. We are on Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts, Pandora, and Spotify. If you would like to listen rather than watch the show, you can rate and review on Apple Podcasts and on Spotify, which always helps us out as well. So thank you for that. And if you want to follow us on social media, we are on Twix at popculture_show, Facebook at Pop Culture Crisis, Instagram at Pop Culture Crisis Pod. I will be on Timcast IRL tonight looking for cans of Rooster Booster on eBay and maybe saying a thing or two about politics. I'll have to go cram for the test right now. But with all that being said, ladies and gentlemen, we will be back with another episode of Pop Culture Crisis on Monday. We'll see y'all then.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.